Welcome back to 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast, a show focused on highlighting the illustrious Prairie View A&M University, the HBCU of Texas, by promoting SWAC and the HBCU experience, featuring your fellow PV Panthers, Roland Austin, Jay Cleasy, Big Mike Washington, three-time SWAC champ Gati Werema, former drum major HBCU band historian Shawnetta Haskell, and Al Williams, driving the show from the Hill. Please subscribe and follow us on social media at 1876 SCP. And don't forget, we do it for the culture.
And welcome to the 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast. Man, we got we got something to be thankful for this Thanksgiving. Yeah, baby.
For a couple more weeks.
For a couple more weeks.
Hey, for
right now, go ahead, Joe.
For those who can actually reserve a hotel room and get an airline ticket.
Hey, I bought mine this morning.
It's getting tight out there. It's getting tight.
All I know is the Fairfield is $250 a night. I'm like, hold on, bro. For the Fairfield?
Hey, man, look,
we ain't talking about
the Queen's Inn was going for $300 a night, and that's just talking about this an Airbnb. I say, man, this is a Mosey Wozy. What are you talking about?
You gotta find some cousins or something.
Hey.
What happened to that network?
Hey, for real, our network is shy once you get past Mississippi for us.
And what are we talking about?
Airbnb. I'm gonna hop on Airbnb tonight, man, because I gotta have somewhere to lay my head. Otherwise, I'll be staying in Panama City or something.
Hey, man,
you don't get it though. But right. A lot going on the yard. So we knew the volleyball tournament was going on this week. Started off Friday, and PV came out the gate hot. But they failed in that second round against FAMU. Took it to the fifth set. And Mike, you here? I know you ready to talk about some kills and all of that. But they took it to the fifth set and lost 17-15 to FAMU in the quarterfinals. But what a great season for this volleyball team.
No, man, I some of the volleyball players have been getting them talking. You saying my name wrong?
Yeah.
They name.
Now, Mike, you just got back from South America, man. How your Wi-Fi acting up already?
Like he's still in the jungle.
Yeah, like he's still in the jungle.
He said, "I'm not
doing
it,
man,
guys."
We'll get back to Mike when he gets this Wi-Fi together. But let's talk about women's volleyball. I mean, women's basketball. Though, Gati, they came out the gate hot, 3-1 so far, 2-0 at home.
Yeah, exactly. The last two games they had was versus Tulane and North America. Tulane, we fell short by about 20 points, but they definitely redeemed themselves versus North America, winning 101-44. So a 57 victory. You know, they turned around and protected home. It was several players in double digits, though. Ryan Payne had 18 points. Adriana Waddle had 13 and 7 boards, and Mia Monroe had 13 points. So, you know, finding their chemistry, we got a lot of scorers on the team. So hopefully we can, you know, all show up. The game that we lost, no players were in double digits. You know, they were allowed to be shut down. When you have so many players that can score, you got to make sure at least one or two are always popping. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, the rest of this preseason and how strong they go into conference play.
Yeah, I think coming out of last year, I was wondering how are we going to fill that scoring gap with Rosenthal leaving, you know, graduating out. And apparently that's not a problem. It's not a problem when you're putting up 101, over 100 points in a couple of games so far in the 4 games that we played. Scoring doesn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah, we just got to get some consistency. You know, that's the name of the game because it's a long season ahead of us.
Yes, yes. And the men aren't doing too bad either. Come out, they're 3-2 so far. Just had a big win over University of Tennessee Martin. So the men doing all right too.
They are those back-to-back wins. They have to played Abilene Christian earlier in the week, and they beat them too in a tight game. Both times, well, versus Abilene, we had 4 players in double figures, and then versus UT Martin, it was 5 players. So that's really promising as well. But that same thing, that consistency, staying strong. They are playing Eastern Kentucky on the 21st of this month. In a couple of days. So, we just have to keep proving ourselves each and every day and make a statement preparing for January when conference time starts.
Absolutely. And this is a brand new team. As the last year's team, all were mostly grad transfers, but they are all gone. So this is all new faces. So we've got to get to know these players, and we'll start connecting with them, get some nicknames out here, and get them inducted into the Hill. Let them know what this is about. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Coach Smith puts together this year. Let's bring Mike back, man. See if he got this Wi-Fi fixed, and let's see here. All right,
Yeah.
Mike.
What's going on? What's going on? Am I straight now?
Yeah, you straight now. You straight now.
Yeah, got
section number 2.
Rolling taking us back to no limit.
Hey man, we ready to go to war, baby. It's all we gotta get. We gotta get our mind right, bro.
Make them say, nah.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, I was talking with some of the the volleyball players, and they lost a tough matchup to FAMU 3-2. But if you look at the stats of the game, it was a fairly even game. The only difference was aces. Kills, my favorite stat. FAMU had 54 kills. PV had 51. Errors. FAMU had 28. PV had 26. And then you look at hitting percentage, and FAMU was 0.164, and PV was 0.160. So if you look at the statistics across the board, everything was but a few extra aces on the FAMU side gave them the edge. It was a tough fought game, 3-2. FAMU wins. And if you look statistically, there's only one other team that compares to Kylie Owens and some of the other players on PV squad, and that's FAMU. So kudos, hats off to FAMU, but you can't say enough at what this Prairie View team has done over the course of the year.
Yes, and with some all SWAC players, and I'm gonna say her name right.
Please say her name right. Please.
Janya. It's Janya.
Janya.
Yes.
Oh my God. At homecoming, I think the coach stalked me 3 times. Say her name. Say her name.
Say it again.
I'm gonna give you a shirt with the phonetic pronunciation of it.
She was like, and she called me at I'm not gonna say the time, but she was like, you remember her name? I had a drink in my hand. I had to remember. I felt like I was being hazed.
Get in the cut.
She's like, what's her name?
She got you by about 6 inches, so I'm sure you was getting hazed.
So Joe, now we got to throw the short Joe.
I'm just saying. What is it?
So man, let's talk about this game day atmosphere yesterday. I don't necessarily want to talk about the game yet, but what was the atmosphere like? I know it was senior day, and it was the last home game of the season. So we have a lot of the high school bands that show up. So what was it like? What was the energy?
We tried. Hey man, all I know, we gave it the old.
That's what you opened up with.
That's what
See?
Got something better.
Is that what you're gonna lead in?
Bless our heart in a Texas kind of way.
We tried, man. Bless our hearts. That's all I can say.
You got the Master P uniform on, and that's what you gonna lead in with.
But listen, we get to the back. We'll get to the keys later. But my point is that listen, those that were out there were true diehards, right? It was a lot of stuff going on, so they definitely had to split their time up between football and volleyball. But those who were out there were trying to tailgate, trying to keep the energy going, trying to keep the traditions going. They were diehards. So shout out to the alumni affairs. 3P Tailgaters, Day One Crew. There was a couple other groups that were out there still holding down for the tailgate. And then even once you got into the stadium, right, you had just true diehard fans that were there. To me,
the ones who are always there.
The ones who are gonna always be there, right? You know, the person that's sitting to the left and sitting to the right of you gonna probably always be there. But we still kind of missed the mark in terms of what I feel like that game meant to us and where we were, how we were performing, right? So we tried. That's all I can say is we tried.
The try was inviting high school bands to the game. That saved us, to be honest.
Yes.
With you.
Right, because those babies' parents had to come.
Yeah,
that's right. The high school bands and their parents were in the house, and they filled up a large portion of the visitor side. And they did a heck of a job at halftime too.
They really did.
They did a great job. So whoever invited them, kudos to you, I guess, for saving face, helping PV save face. But the fanfare wasn't there. We didn't show up for what this game truly meant to go back to the SWAC championship.
That's disappointing. That's disappointing. Yeah. That is really disappointing. I was out of the country and I was trying to stay glued in, and I was like, I wonder if PV Nation knows what this really means.
I can tell you the students don't.
Yeah,
the students didn't.
Yeah.
Because I rolled up to Hempstead Walmart before the game to go do some t-shirt shopping, right? And by the way, don't do that because everything is gone. Homecoming, they must have sold out.
Cleaned it out. I love it. I love it.
But there were 3 kids. So it was game time was 2:00. I was there at 1:00. It was 3 young ladies getting out the car in their pajamas or whatever, shopping. They didn't have a clue that we were playing a game that day. Oh, they just didn't care, one or the other. So I'm sure there was a large portion of the student body, the ones who hadn't already gone home for Thanksgiving, who were not engaged.
Yeah,
did not know what that game meant.
Yeah, I didn't think about that portion. You're right. It is close to the Thanksgiving break, so that probably drove a lot of those kids out of there. But I don't feel like the kids really attend the game anyway. So
they don't.
So we need.
I don't know how engaged they are.
No. I always got to go back to the student organizations, man. I still got to put some ownership on the student organizations because
I agree.
They can drive that culture, right? They're the largest presence of leadership on campus. And what happened to having the esprit de corps and actually having some school spirit?
So let me not get ahead of myself, but let me ask a question. If by some strike of heaven, by some whatever walk of life, we make it to the Celebration Bowl, what do you think the support will be across PV Nation?
I think they'll be there. We front riders, they'll be there, and it's Atlanta. People like to go to Atlanta. I think we will be there.
I hate to be
I'm not saying 2,000 of us, but I can see a strong
500. Okay, that's fair. 500. Considering the numbers of 48,000 last year, 500, Joe.
I mean, this is Howard.
We good for a good 5.
Keep in mind, this is Howard. Howard's they got that East Coast bias. They're gonna bring Jay Walker, is a Howard guy. Yeah. I still think they don't know how to tailgate at all. They are more bougie than anything else. So they will have a show.
But if they come, Howard is going to roll deep because probably half of Howard's alumni is in Atlanta anyway.
Well, the vice president, they're going to need to stop the game for the vice president.
The VP going to fly in on Marine One.
That ain't even fair.
She's going to fly in on Marine One and be sitting at the 50-yard line or something, and she's going to have to stand up and give her wave, and we're going to have to clap for that. But come on, we need to have a sit down with the campus activity board, the heads of D9 orgs, because this can't continue. We've got great facilities, and for what?
We might
as well go back to bleachers.
Best facilities, and the spirit just does not seem to be there.
Well, so I want to track down who isn't actually in charge. Ultimately, who's in charge of game day experience? Because we was talking to the King, Carl Mays, during the game, and he said, his opinion was asked on how to improve the game day experience, and he gave them a pseudo script, but that script is obviously not being used. So I want to know. I want to know who is actually in charge, because the DJ has no clue of when to play music and what music to play and what crowd to cater to. The band.
I know. All I know is I was listening to the ESPN broadcast as I was driving yesterday, and when they scored that second touchdown, the DJ played DMX. Y'all gonna make me lose my. And I was like, that's right on time, because that's exactly how I'm feeling right now.
Well, then that's the only time he got it right.
Up in here.
Yeah,
that's the only time he got it right.
When the DJ got it right.
Yeah, that was 21 seconds left in the game.
Yeah,
exactly. And honestly, that's when you actually start to hear anything of fan engagement was closer to the end of the game, right? That's the only time you kind of heard the band. I think we heard Swamp once, maybe in the fourth quarter.
It was close to the end of the game.
Once.
P-Funk was at the very end of the game. Swamp was mid fourth quarter. It was done at that point. We need those songs to get the fans engaged. And that's part of the reason why the students don't come, because they're bored.
Agreed.
One thing that we also discussed that on yesterday as well, about how there's a psychology associated with that whole game day experience, and some of that stuff has to be orchestrated. It does not. We're not an organic enough fan base just to be excited just to be there. You kind of have to usher us along, right? And a lot of that has to be programmed, and you have to understand, not program the individual, but program the day. And you got to make sure that the band understands. I know, we found out that there's some penalties that they're in fear of getting and all that other kind of stuff, but know your limits, right? The DJ needs to understand what certain situations look like on the field and have those songs already queued up. There should be probably a continuation of one song that needs to be played in every third down and long, or every third and fourth
occasion.
Exactly, so that the fans now know how to respond in unison when they see a certain situation on the field. All of that add to an intimidation factor that goes in support of your team against their opponent. We have one of the biggest bands in the SWAC, and we don't use them to their full potential of being an intimidation factor to help our team win. And that's one of the biggest things that I struggle with, is that how do we, like you say, who do we voice that to? Who is the person that needs to realize that that's a huge element that we miss out on to help us be consistently successful in these competitions,
I tell you what, I really hope AD Golf identifies who is over this and replaces them with somebody who knows what the hell they're doing, because that person is impacting the product.
I will say this. I would definitely I would be shocked if there is a person in charge.
And maybe that's the problem.
Yeah,
everybody just wildcat.
Person in that role, I think it's just an additional duty that's falling on the shoulders of somebody that's already stretched. That's what, because it's not consistent enough to even say that anybody's leading it, right?
I would agree. Nobody owns it. You got to have somebody in the organization that owns it. And you put it on the shoulders of somebody that's already lifting the heavy load. It's not going to get done.
Not when it's a whole lot of.
How about this? Replace the DJ. We know who that is. We can figure out who that is. The DJ needs to go. Somebody can get fired.
Well, I think you just got to realize, man, I think if whoever's the person to actually bring this up, I don't care if you bring it to the AD, you bring it to, Prof. Zachary, you got to understand that, hey, man, put dollars to it. It's a simple one-to-one. If you're telling me that you need a justification, look at how much revenue you're missing out on by not providing a product that people want to have. Create the demand. And I guarantee you start seeing butts in the seats.
Yep. The crazy part is, for a place that's supposedly a party school, why we struggle so hard to put on a party at a football game.
Well,
you living off the shoulders of the 80s and the 90s, buddy. That's no
2000s.
Well,
2000s too.
Oh, you got these 2000s.
You said it was still live.
Taking over for the 99 and 2000s, baby.
Yeah.
But really, for real though, just if I'm a student athlete, if I'm a high school student athlete, and I'm coming on a recruiting trip, and I'm sitting on the sidelines, and I'm looking up at the crowd, I'm not moved and motivated to want to sign with this school, man. And if you think, I know PV people are so arrogant. I don't know why. Well, you should just want to come to Prairie View because of the excellent education. And man, look here. This young man about to major in communications or something, or psychology. He can get that degree anywhere. Don't give me this. Well, it's the education. No, kids want to come and play in front of thousands of people who are cheering them on. They don't want to come and play in front of 10 people who sitting on their hands. Just
now,
so
I will say this, Joe. We had a really good conversation with some of the band members after the game during the tailgate, and it was some really great eye-opening conversation.
Well, let's just go and have it now because Shanetta is on assignment this week, so we can just jump into it now.
Well, the first part about it is that they are not necessarily aware that there's a disconnect between what they're playing and who's actually at the games. So some of the songs that they're playing, and David said it, I felt bad for them. They're like, man, we look over and we're playing like, we're really blowing, and people are just like sitting like,
exactly,
okay, whatever. And so I asked them, I said, well, if you're there thinking that you're entertaining somebody and they're not being entertained, then that should be your answer right there. And they were like, hey, that's a great
message.
Point. Yeah, exactly. You're not connecting with us. And I told them, I'm like, look, the majority of your people who are in the stands are probably alums. They're probably not students. And so you need to play to that fan base. And they're not going to want to hear. First of all, I say not want to hear. They can appreciate the sound, but they have no idea what you're playing.
No flight of the bumblebee.
And you want to, and that's the thing, the crowd wants to participate with the band. They want to sing along with the songs that you're playing. They want to recognize the songs that you're playing, but you're missing us 45 minutes out of an hour game.
Yeah.
And that's not good, right? And then you're not in tune with the DJ. So I don't know, back in the day, it's like the band would play or the DJ would start playing, and then the band would kind of like pick up where the DJ left off. You know what I mean? We don't have that continuity anymore. And so, it was interesting to hear them say that they thought that they were playing something that we wanted to hear. And we're like, no, you're not.
No.
I mean,
we want PV Funk. We want Swamp. We want Earthquake. We want all these call and response type.
Yeah.
Play just one Earth, Wind, and Fire or May song. Just give me one.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
B-sides. You can play the Earth, Wind, and Fire B-side. Take your pick. It ain't hard.
Look, I came up in the deep South, man. Look, they throw some gospel on there. The whole stadium. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing for you to go to a game and they didn't pull out with some good thing or something.
Hey, they do that to Tiggy all the time.
I know it was a blood for me.
But guess what? You are engaged in that game at that point. You done woke up at that point.
Hey, FAMU brought the house down too with a gospel song. They bought a lady out. She brought the house down. It was enough said. Everybody was silent. This was their game against Bethune. Years ago, they bought a gospel song.
It's about familiarity. So you gotta play what people are familiar with. So, and then the other thing that came up too was, and I guess we need to see if we can get Dr. Zachary. Hey man, we're reaching out to you. We need to see if we can get you on to kind of help us understand here. But apparently, there's a fear of being fined for playing in I guess the wrong time. So I need to educate myself. When is the right time to play? I mean, because I feel like we go to other schools and they
play all the time.
The only time you're not supposed to play is when the opposing team has the ball. If Mike, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
So you could play when the ball is not in play. Even if the other team has the ball, you need to be playing when the ball is not in play. You need to be playing when we have the ball. You need to be playing anytime that you can play. And when you're not supposed to be playing, play until the ref gives you a warning.
Or just give us the prompts. If you hit that drum 2 times, boom, boom. Everybody knows defense. And you start the chant. That's the call and response that we are used to at every game we go to, whether it's high school, professional, or PV. That's what we have grown accustomed to.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I go to high school football games most Fridays, right? The band is more interactive with the fan base, with the crowd at the local high school bands than the game I go to the next day, Saturday at PV. And it is so infuriating.
Mess around and go to one of these Catholic school games. That student section, they got chants and I believe that we will win, and then they go crazy. They got all of that. So
how about the Christian was talking about this is for my I said, wait a minute.
Whoa. I'm gonna tee him up on that one.
And that's another one. That's another one we missed. The band chant. They can't fine you for chanting. The band used to openly chant, aggressively chant all the time. They were
that's earthquake.
Yes.
Yesterday.
And Shanetta has made mention of that a number of times. I mean, that's the largest student organization on campus. If they actually rallied together and got, a good chant going, or having a series of chants again in certain situations, right? If it's we got a first down, what are we chanting? We got a touchdown, what are we chanting? Right? If we got a major stop, what are we chanting? They can actually fuel the rest of the stadium. But first of all, you got to have one. Second of all, we got to know what it is. Because I do think they chant. They do have some chants that they say, but it's esoteric. And so nobody else knows what they're saying. Like I told them that. I say, man, look, we have no idea what y'all are saying.
We got that beautiful scoreboard. You can put the karaoke with the little bouncing ball on the scoreboard.
The rule.
They do that at church, don't they? At the non-denominational churches, you go in a non-denominational church, and they I don't know. Do they call it? No, it's praise and worship at the non-denominational.
That's because they know some of y'all ain't been to church in a while. So come on.
Yeah, and they gonna karaoke it, so you don't feel out of place. Nobody feels out of place because you go to a Baptist church, ain't no karaoke, and they know if you ain't singing, the mothers be like, heathen. Yeah.
The rules for not playing are very simple. Once the offense breaks the huddle, you stop. If it's a no huddle offense, once the person is over the center, you can't stop. And a dead ball foul, you can't play. That's pretty much it. It's simple.
Yeah.
But then hold on. I thought something Dr. Gaville said is like the rules are kind of lenient, within the SWAC. Do we have some transcripts from that? Can we push that out to Dr. Factory?
No, here we go. I got a better idea.
We can actually.
Those are NCAA rules, but the SWAC tends to impose different, or what I call offshoot rules, as Dr. Gaville would say. They tend to shade a little bit and say, well, the band wasn't supposed to be doing when X happened, or they weren't supposed to be doing when this happened. But NCAA rules are fairly clear.
Look, let's call it what it is, man. They're going to make a little adjustments for the culture, okay? So let's figure out what those cultural adjustments are. And let's
just put a green light and a red light by the play clock.
Yeah.
By the play clock. As long as you playing, when the green light is on, you good. When it turns red, you do that.
Yeah. Since Dr. Zachary doesn't feel comfortable.
Since they're confused.
Yeah.
Yes. I have no problem. I control that. I'll volunteer my time. I will volunteer my time to run the green light, red light.
And you know what? As a band member, you work hard all week. You've been working hard all semester. Don't you want to play your butt off at the game?
Message. All right, I'm getting depressed. We need to talk about something better. So let's take a quick break and come back and talk football.
2nd and 5. First to the hole up the middle, it breaks free. The 20, the 10. Touchdown, Prairie View. And it is Tristan Wallace.
All right, so, man, I don't know what happened with this defense, but they only gave up, what is it, Mike, 34 yards on the ground?
Yep.
That is absolutely bananas. I mean, they completely shut down the run game. And this is maybe the third or fourth week in a row where we haven't seen a significant amount of rushing yards.
The front seven, they came to play. They've been coming to play. They've been gelling. That is not my concern. So yeah, the run defense is stout. The linebacker core is the strength of the defense. We got the big boys on the line doing what they do.
Keyshawn Johnson had 11 tackles, 5 solo tackles yesterday. It was another Keyshawn on the other side of the ball, but our Keyshawn basically shined yesterday.
Our seniors came to play. He a senior. He was like, man, it's my last game if I don't get this done.
That's right.
He showed up like what a senior's supposed to do.
That's right.
Trey came to play. He did what he was supposed to do. He didn't go outside himself. He got down to make sure he stayed healthy for the game that he was trying to play hard for, the SWAC championship game. The seniors showed up.
Yes.
Yeah. And Al, you said 34. Actually, ESPN calls it at just below 20 yards rushing. That's phenomenal. That if you look at the number of attempts, that's 0.7 yards per rush. You're talking about a team that's in the top 3 or 4 for rushing in the SWAC. So they came to play. They came with a vengeance. And to be honest, they had the possession. They had the majority of the possession. They held the ball for 34 minutes, give or take, and Preview only held the ball for 26. But that defense of Prairie View A&M, they held them to a third down efficiency of 2 for 11. If you're doing the math, that's a little bit below 20%. So they couldn't convert on third down. They couldn't rush the ball. They tried to make them one-dimensional, and it just didn't work.
So tell us this, Mike. What if that is a offshot of an inept offense from Alabama's side?
Yeah, if you look at Alabama State, remember 3 weeks ago we were saying there were 3 teams you didn't want to play, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Remember who those 3 teams were? Alcorn State,
Alabama State.
And what was the third? You remember the third?
Hell, FAMU.
Jackson State. Probably FAMU.
No, it was probably FAMU. All of which are strong passing and running attacks. They have a balanced attack, and they were hitting their stride toward the end of the year. So in terms of I think PV sent a message saying we can play a team that is balanced on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. To me, that's what I think. It's more of a PV thing than an Alabama State thing, because what Alabama State has a 3 or 4 game winning streak coming into this game. You didn't want to play that. You didn't want to play.
They hadn't given up a sack. They hadn't given up a sack in five games before coming into PV.
That's big, and it's not as if the home field advantage scared them. So that wasn't part of the problem.
No, not at all. So I mean, if you look, I mean, just you don't have to take Big Mike's word for it. Just look at the stats. I mean, look at who is number 3 or 4 in offense, and then look at who's defense. And if you look at the 3 or 4 games, Alabama State's right there in it. What PV did is make them one-dimensional. And I think if they take that into FAM and try to make them one-dimensional, I think PV does have a puncher's chance for sure.
Yes. Well, I mean, if we break down the FAMU game from a few weeks back, we were in it that first half.
Yes.
Oh, no doubt.
We had a couple of plays that went the other direction that kind of took some of the fight out. But this seems like a different team since that game.
Well,
that game was the game that turned it around for us. Go ahead, Joe.
They were embarrassed. I mean, flat out. They were embarrassed. They knew FAMU was not more talented than we were. It was apparent just on the field. It was not more talent on that other side of the field. So the halftime score was more indicative of the final score. It was a close ball game until the wheels completely fell off. I think the game plan that we employed offensively yesterday was probably 80% run, 20% pass.
Yes.
I think in order for us to go toe-to-toe with Musso in that offense, I believe we're going to have to open it up more. We cannot run it as heavily as we did, particularly with kind of Wisham being out for the season. We've got, I believe, I think he's a freshman or sophomore who kind of stepped into that third running back slot. So I think we definitely have to use our passing game. We've got to use our big receiver, those big targets. You saw that big pass play at the end of the game that we scored. It was beautiful. It was pretty. I think we're going to have to take some shots down the field, crossing routes, whatever have you, to stay with FAMU's passing game.
To be on and just to build on that point, we were to be honest, we were really one-dimensional too. We ran the ball. We had 42 rushing attempts and only 11 give or take pass attempt. That's an imbalanced game. We probably saw something with this defense that said, you know what, we got enough talent, we can run the ball effectively, and it worked for this game. But I think for FAMU, I agree, Joe, it's going to have to be a lot more balanced.
Yeah, we had 5 receivers, each with one catch. Nobody had more than one catch. So with only 11 passing attempts, Caleb Johnson carried the load on his back with 14 carries and 77 yards. But we saw Jamarius Brooks step out, and he was averaging 6 yards a carry with 43 yards on the game. I was waiting to see if Ahmad Antoine can break out, and maybe he will against FAM. But I think we've got to open that playbook back up again like we saw a couple of games ago, and because it's going to take that to keep that FAMU team on the bench. We don't want to go 3. We can't handle the 3 and outs against FAMU because your defense can only hold for so long with Musa in that balanced attack. So, yeah, I think we've got to, if for nothing else, for the sake of the defense, you've got to open that playbook up.
Well, and C.J. Presley was impressive. He had, 8, 9 tackles, about 3 of those for losses. He had a sack. I went back and saw some of the game. I couldn't see the whole thing, but I was like, where has this C.J. Presley been?
You're right.
Can we get him one more time?
I had not heard his name most of the season, but I tell you, the biggest concern going back into Tallahassee for me, we talked about the front 7. They are getting it done. That's not the concern. The concern is the defensive backfield.
Yeah,
that is the concern. They've struggled all season. We know they switched to man-to-man a couple of games ago. I don't know if they're going to go between man-to-man and zone with FAM. I'm sure it's going to depend on the matchup, but Musso will pick that secondary apart if we don't make some major adjustments and if we don't step up in the secondary.
We just can't give him time, but I agree. We can't. The game 2 games ago where they abandoned this 10-yard cushion, this 15-yard cushion, we can't go back to that style. They were playing very aggressive, and I think if we go back to that style and not give Musa time, that will also play big into that game.
Yep. Because I think the front 7, like you said, they're getting in there. It's when it's mano a mano, you don't have to think about it. When it's zone, do I follow this tight end coming across my face? Do I follow this guy? I see they got trips on this side. There's too many decisions that have to be made. When I got the guy in front of me and I'm responsible for him, I don't have to think about it. And I think some of these guys do better when they don't have to think about it, because sometimes, it can get overly complicated when you start calling these zones and all the keys and the reads, and there's 11 decisions that a player has to make. Bro, I need you to guard this guy in front of you. Jam him at the line and don't let him get behind you. Okay.
They call that kind of defense against Southern. They did it against Pine Bluff. So
that's what we need to do. We need to stick with it.
That's what we got to do.
I don't know if they smell blood in the water because Flood hadn't been playing that well, and Southern was trying to hide Flood's performance. Whatever the case, they were up on them. There was 3 or 4 yards cushion. That was it. That's all you getting.
So, hey, we got to play with all disrespect.
And I think that the player for me who's going to impact this game is going to be in the secondary is number 20, Seatbelt Lewis. We're going to need him to truly be the man back there in the middle, hovering over those deep passes, hopefully picking some off, deflecting. We're going to need him to come up big and help or give some over the top assistance to our cornerbacks. He's gonna have to come up big. That's gonna be what we need.
We've given the keys to the game. We got 2 weeks to get ready.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. I have a really good feeling that this is going to be a competitive game. I'm not necessarily scared of FAMU, and I want to be front and center when we get over this hump past the SWAC championship. Because if we go to Atlanta, I am not responsible for the foolishness that will ensue. I'm just saying.
Exactly. I cannot be held responsible. These are the express written comments of 18.
There you go. Let's make this disclaimer right now.
Hey,
I already know. Gotcha, you set it out if we come to Atlanta?
Oh yeah, that's a given.
All right.
For
You got
sure.
it.
There it is.
You got it.
It's on
There
tape.
it is.
For sure. I'm even planning to come to Tallahassee. So right now,
There we go.
40.
Okay.
Let's go.
All
Let's
right.
go.
What's up with it?
All right, we're gonna have to do our last show of the season from FAM. We're gonna do it on the sideline after the win.
Exactly.
On top of the rattler in
Well,
brag.
they don't check credentials, just walk on down. There ain't no problem.
There it is. All right, let's take a quick break and come back with the We Ready shout outs. See, we all on here dancing while we hear the song. It's reactionary. We don't have a choice in this. All right, so Gatti, you got a We Ready shout out?
Yeah, so we talked about volleyball earlier, and we really didn't call out the ladies and their awards.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Janya Henderson with Freshman of the Year. Shout out to her, and along with Kylie Owens, who got first team All SWAC, and Leah Lawson, with second team All SWAC.
Yes.
So
They ready.
They ready.
they ready.
Ready.
You ready?
Looking for a
All
championship.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I want to give my shout out to, first of all, today is Founders Day for all those brothers and sisters of Epsilon Gamma Iota, the red and blue. Happy Founders Day. What up, though? And I got to give one to Keyshawn Johnson. 11 tackles, 5 solo tackles. He showed up like a senior supposed to show out. He ready.
He
ready.
Ready.
All right.
All right, not to harp on the volleyball, but I didn't do it justice earlier. I have 4 people who are ready. Nia Walker, 15 kills, 4 aces, 3 blocks. Kylie Owens, 15 kills, 1 ace, 1 block. Nia Henderson, 10 kills, 1 ace, 6 blocks. And Bailey Hewitt, 6 kills, 1 ace, and 3 blocks during this tournament. They are ready. I want this championship next year. They are ready.
Michael had a shirt ready. He getting that shirt made. Kills, baby, kills.
Nice.
All right. I'll take us out of here today. Let's make it do what it do. PV. No, that's 2 weeks in a row. All right, Gatti. I told you. When you here, we on it.
No, that's
All right,
not
run
the
the
game.
credits. We out. All right.
She said,
Man, I'm in this den in this doggone house. This heat is cranked. I feel like it's 100 degrees. I mean, it's sweating like a runaway slave. God, dog.